Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at Tablemon as we continue to unravel the mystery that is post-rotation with the new Temporal Forces set, and I bring to you a pretty interesting archetype that will be part of the metagame now. I don't know if this is exactly what it will look like, but it does contain a lot of the very powerful cards that the future box holds. And starting off with the basic Miraidon, a really good single prize attacker with the accelerating peak attack doing 40 damage, and you may search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your future Pokemon in any way you like. So a really great way to power up your other attackers, the Iron Crown, the other Miraidon EX, the Iron Leaves, even the Iron Valiant could potentially be an attacker of sorts. So really cool to see this acceleration, and then single price Pokemon with the ability of Iron Crown, allowing you to do a little bit of extra damage as it does have the Cobalt command ability. Your future Pokemon's attacks except any Iron Crown EX do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you're able to do extra damage with the accelerating peak attack, apply pressure, take out those low HP Pokemon with the 60, 70 and HP threshold, along with with one Iron Crown in play or 2 Iron Crowns in play, and then even with the future booster energy capsule, and that allows you to take down a bunch of Pokemon, start accelerating energy, and with a single price attacker, that's always a very cool thing to do. And then the Iron Crown EX itself is a pretty interesting attack, the Twin Shuttles attack. This attack does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or by any effects on those Pokemon. So you can actually bypass the Manaphy protection, right? Which is really, really cool. It's a very novel thing that we have. It's like, okay, you have Manaphy, I really don't mind. Now, the unfortunate part is that the Cobalt command doesn't add damage to yourself, right? So you cannot do 70 damage or more to the active Pokemon. It's always 50-50. So maybe a nice way to close out the game. If only there was a way to increase the damage, that would be great. That's part of why we have the Iron Valiant EX in the list. Those Tachyon bits can help, right, shore up that damage, which can be important. It also takes down double Pidgey, which could be impactful in some situations, or at least a Pidgey. So not too bad of an attacker, but of course the Cobalt command, the ability, is the main reason why this card is in here. And then we have the brand new Miraidon EX, which has the Repulsor Bolt attack doing 60 damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 100 more damage. So once again, Tachyon bits could potentially be clutch. Any previous damage from the other Miraidon could also be very important. And with the Cobalt command, you are able to increase the damage further, along with having the Cyber Drive attack doing 220 damage. And during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Cyber Drive, which is very similar to the current Miraidon EX, the Lightning type one. But this Dragon type version has the combined energy cost and can most definitely take down a lot of big Pokemon, especially with prior damage from Cobalt command. You can go up to 280, and then with future booster energy capsule doing 20 more, you get to 300, and then with Iron Valiant you get to 320 possible damage. So not bad, right? Still not enough to deal with Charizard EX. However, that is why we have the Iron Leaves EX in the deck. Iron Leaves EX is a future grass type Pokemon with a rapid Vernier ability, where once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon. And if you do, you may move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to this Pokemon. And then you just have the Prismatic Edge attack, pretty straightforward, 180, and during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Now, nothing special about this Pokemon, other than the fact that it can 1KO Charizard EX, which is presumably going to be the top deck in the future format. If you haven't watched that video, I would definitely recommend you go ahead and take a look to see what's going to be happening with Charizard EX in post-rotation. Spoilers, it doesn't change too much, but Iron Leaves EX, definitely a new and novel way to deal with Charizard EX. Just 1KO that Pokemon immediately. You do need to have at least 2 grass energy in play, and then attach one from your hand, or transfer a different type from a different Pokemon, right? You could potentially play the Iron Leaves down and then power it up with Miraidon, but that takes away the surprise factor, of course. So plenty of ways to potentially use this card, and it's also nice that it can be splashed into something like Arceus Giratina, which seems to be a pretty powerful deck coming into the new format, at least from the initial Japanese metagame results. So really cool card to have access to and part of this future box archetype. Now, aside from that, as I mentioned, we have the Iron Valiant EX, which we can attack with another attack that does 200 damage and you can't use during your next turn. I don't know why that's like the premier effect for pretty much every single Pokemon, it seems, now out there, at least all basic Pokemon. They always have that drawback. We also have Mew EX for a little bit of late game protection, a little bit of extra draw. We also have the Iron Bundle to help us switch around our opponent's Pokemon. We have Boss's Orders and Counter Catcher to target down the right Pokemon. But more importantly, we have the brand new A-Spec Reboot Pod, which allows you to attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of your future Pokemon in play. So that's a potential 6 energies attached from your hand, from the discard pile, into play. Now, usually you would want to maybe combine this Reboot Pod with Iron Leaves, right? So you would want to have the bench space for that, and then be able to attach 5 and then promote the Iron Leaves. But even if it's only attaching you 2 or 3, sometimes even just 1, yeah, that could be the difference. And this, like, just immediate energy acceleration is definitely not something we have seen a lot in the past. It makes sense that it is an A-Spec. We are able to search for it with the Arven, so that's really cool to see here. But yeah, really excited to that fact that there are other powerful A-Specs, right? We saw Maximum Belt, we have the Prime Catcher, but Reboot Pod definitely feels like it's a great inclusion in any sort of future deck that will include all these Pokemon, because in order to cover all these different types and be able to have this boxy feeling of being able to cover different weaknesses and different angles, then Reboot Pod will probably be very essential in accomplishing that. Now, aside from that, we have a lot of draw power with the 4 Research and 4 Iono, along with a couple of Arven to search for that. The 4 Techno Radar plus 4 Nestball definitely makes up for the fact that there's no more Battle VIP Pass. And Techno Radar definitely has its merits, just searching for 2 of your Pokemon, right? The only Pokemon that we can't search for is Mew EX, and then we also have 4 Nestball for that. So might even be thinking it's a little over the top on the basic search, but you really want those strong turn 1s to be able to do a lot of damage and establish powerful threats on the board. Now, the Future Booster Energy Capsule allows us to do a little bit of extra damage and give retreat to our Pokemon, so that's why we don't need a ton of switching cards, but 3 switch card healing off a little bit of damage could be impactful. EX, be sure to make sure that we keep energy on the board, especially if we want to use Iron Leaves effectively. Super Rod to recover Pokemon or energy that we discarded from Professor's Research, and then a Technical Machine Devolution just in case the Iron Leaves is not enough to deal with Charizard, along with 2 Town Store to be able to search for all the tool cards that we are playing, which are all of them very, very good. So this deck, I feel like it's definitely going to be fun to play around with. I feel like maybe a 4-4-4 split on the energy might be a little more balanced than it currently is, just to make sure that you can more continually use Iron Leaves, perhaps even use 2 Iron Leaves in a game instead of just the 1. With 3 energies, you'll probably be able to do 1, and then you'll need to super out back resources. But with 4 grass energies, it's more likely that you'll be able to have more in play for sure, and therefore use Iron Leaves more consistently and more often, perhaps twice against the Charizard EX, which seems to be the enemy number 1 for the F regulation format in the future. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this future box sort of deck. Will you be playing it? Will you not be playing it? And don't worry, I'll be covering a lot of these decks, a lot of the new decks from Temporal Forces, and we definitely have Ancient Box in the near future. So thanks so much for tuning in, especially those of you who are here each and every video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.